What is up, everybody? Welcome to the 21 Rooms Adventure Episode 1. I'm your host, Delthius. How's it going, everybody? I am doing fantastic. Had a lot of fun last night playing the Vyashal role-playing game, courtesy of Premium Bow and Furmar. They've been working on that for a while and recently released it to the community. It was a lot of fun. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons type of thing based in the Tooth and Tail world. That was really cool. As always, continue to submit replays to me, and I'll continue doing casting shows. But today we've got something pretty crazy going on. This is probably one of the most interesting tournaments we've had yet, and that's saying a lot. I don't even know if tournament's the right word. It's more like a game within a game. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. The 21 Rooms Adventure, put together by the gentleman. There's a lengthy detail here. The opportunity to sign up for it has passed, and essentially we have players split up in groups of raiders and guardians, and there's several classes that the raiders can choose from. All have different buffs and nerfs, essentially, and the class of the players is unknown, the raiders rather, is unknown to everybody but that raider, and part of it is trying to figure out what class all the other raiders are. But essentially what you're trying to do here is make your way through the Pyramid of Doom at the behest of King James Bowring, the previous Gentleman Series tournament winner. So he is King James in here, and the goal of the raiders is to find as much treasure in gold by the end of it, and whoever makes it out alive with the most loot ends up becoming the winner. With, you know, some tiebreaker type stuff going on as well. We've got our list of raiders here. Most people should be fairly familiar with these players if you're a longtime fan of the Tooth and Tail scene. We've got guys like Jed Erickson, The Child, Eel, recently promoted to a Pocketwatch dev, mainly handling the continuation of Tooth and Tail and balance and stuff. We've got Z in here, Lego Man, Kalaru, Dizon, Leon, Hart, Rush, Haru, Arilo, Rabin, this guy, Kazaris, and Mr. Question Mark for now. I don't know if that's ever been revealed, but we'll leave it at that. Additionally, we have several guardians involved. We've got Masta Dino, Weasel Chip, Jacoby, Tosh, and a few lurking over here in the side as well. And so far, basically how this works is it's a really Discord-based game where players make decisions in between weeks as well as the guardians, but kind of the gist of it is that the raiders choose to advance through rooms. In that room, there could be traps, there could be guardians, there could be treasure, and if multiple players wind up in the same room, then a variety of things can potentially happen. So what we're doing in the episodes is kind of giving a recap of the state of the game, you know, talking about where everybody is, what happens at the end of the turn, resolving. Basically, turn 1 has already happened. So we're going to talk about what happened during turn 1 and where everybody's at as far as their battle through the pyramid goes. And let's see, get my tournament thing up here. So, kind of need to consult the gentleman a lot here to make sure everything works correctly. Give me 1 second. So I believe what we're doing first is we are going to look at, let me go back to my browser capture here. We are going to kind of walk through these rooms one by one. This is where all the players decided to go on their first room. We still don't know what necessarily happened yet as far as how this resolves. And we're going to start in room 1A over here. And in 1A, we've got the Child versus Pedro. And if I understand correctly, they decided to fight one another. I believe it's the Child's decision as the raider to attempt to fight Pedro or not. So I think that's kind of all the preamble here. I think we're good to start with some actual gameplay. of Child versus Pedro. Let me make sure that's correct, and I'll set up my scoreboard. Okay. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Okay, so where we're starting off today is in a match trying to resolve what happened in the very first room, room 1A, where the Raider child, enters and finds the Guardian Pedro. Now, keep in mind we're not necessarily sure how many lives the Raiders have because it can differ depending on what class they are, but typically they have 1, 2, or 3 lives, and meanwhile the Guardians have 2. So let's see if the child is able to take some matches off Pedro. Alright, spawning in the bottom, we've got the Raider, the child, and his opponent to the left, Pedro, the Guardian, under the pseudonym Hibao here, but I shall call him Pedro. Alright, let's take a look at these decks. Looks pretty, you know, Pedro's got that typical, like, 2 tier 1, 2 tier 2, a tier 3, and a defense split. I don't know if typical is the right word, but that's kind of the intended meta, you know, from the development standpoint. Meanwhile, the child going for 3 tier 1 and 3 tier 2. So a lot more flexibility here in the early to mid game as the child, but no big bad tier 3 unit to close things out if he needs it later on. But we'll see. The map looks pretty good for Pedro, I believe. You know, he's got this nice expansion up here on the high ground. That's going to be very, very hard for the child to attack in either direction. Meanwhile, the child, it's kind of interesting. Like, if he can claim this expansion here on the high ground, he's going to be in very, very good shape, you know, as that'll give him so much territory on the map. But if he just tries to, like, take this one and play a bit passively and lets Pedro be the aggressor, it could be very, very hard. I feel like what's going to happen this match is really dependent on who manages to secure this high ground territory here. Of course, the child, if he didn't want to get into that kind of fight right away, could always try to go for this 3 o'clock base over here. And Pedro, without any kind of swift units or something cheeky like some chameleons, it's going to be hard for him to actually walk over there and attack that. So yeah, the child's going to go for option A in the Delthius breakdown here of just trying to secure this high ground. He knows if he can take this base, not only does it give him so much presence on the map and really kind of locks Pedro into this area, it also makes taking this one very, very easy, and maybe even possibly that one, but I doubt we'll see that base taken unless this goes like super, super long. The child looks like he just wants to claim some territory in the back of a lot of tier 1. Yeah, as I say that, he swaps into tier 2, because it is indeed about tier 2 time. Meanwhile, on Pedro's side of the board, he is getting the skunks up. So pretty standard stuff here from both sides. Nothing super, super crazy yet. I think these turrets are a good decision, since he already knows what the child's trying to do. And now Pedro's got a nice way to try to come in here, you know, harass, and then if things get a little bit too dicey, he can run back to his turrets. But this is a really good timing here from Pedro, attacking out while he just has 1 skunk. You know, the child doesn't have any tier 2 of his own, but decent micro from the child. I don't know how much, like, firing he actually lost from that dancing around, but he did try his best to avoid the skunk as much as possible. Now the skunk is very low. It is going to go down. And Child's going to push this back for now, and I think Child's in a pretty good spot. You know, he's got his own skunk up. He didn't put any farms down on this this gristmill yet, so it's not like he really lost anything there besides a handful of squirrels. And meanwhile, you know, Pedro's got a lot of this money invested into these turrets that really didn't help him out in that battle, and the child doesn't really have to attack into those turrets, right? He just wants to chill, claim this high ground, and try to get some farms. But Pedro really working this gristmill down very, very low at the beginning of this battle. He is going to decide to target it down. I don't know if that was the right call, as the rest of his army is getting absolutely shredded. He is going to eventually kill that gristmill, though. The child actually didn't even lose a farm because of that, since he managed to sell that farm off in the middle of that combat. But, you know, Pedro chading out 2 skunks here for this gristmill. I think he really understands how important this high ground is. Now he has the opportunity to leapfrog these turrets forward, maybe try to place it, like, right there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see as a turret player. And here we go, another engagement. This time Snake's on the board for the child as well, but all the tier 2 getting completely shredded here. Kind of stuck in between that skunk ass, and with some decent targeting from Pedro, he's going to clean that up very nicely. Now, the 5-minute mark is upon us, and neither one of these players have secured a second base here. Man, I thought the child was doing very, very nicely, but after losing all that tier 2, a little bit of the momentum has shifted back into Pedro's favor. Now the child's just going to have to back up for the time being. And again, I'm getting worried because that 5-minute mark is upon us. However, even though the economies are going to get cut down, they are going to get cut down evenly for both players. So it's not like anyone's going to have an advantage at that point. But if I'm Pedro, I'm probably thinking about an expansion. But no, he's going to keep it full throttle. He's going to go for a 1-base all-in here. And the child is trying to take this a little bit more macro. You know, he probably eventually wants to get into something like his owls. Pedro's stomping forward, really trying to get the target fire down on those tier 2. Loses his commander in the process, but the rest of his army actually fared pretty well on their own. Most of the time, that is you know, absolutely terrifying to lose your commander in these kinds of positions, but the child really wasn't able to capitalize on it. Pedro, again, pushing forward. And on the back of some favorable trades, the fact that he never even attempted to take a Grismo, you know, all of his money has just been in army completely. I think Pedro is breaking it now. Even sacrificing his skunks, like, that's how confident he is in this push. You know, he could have easily pulled those back and kept them alive, but he's like, nope. They'll deal a little bit of extra damage and tank a little more for me and give me just enough to push through. And sure enough, Pedro is right. That is 1 point on the board for the Guardians here. Okay, so what just happened is the child lost a life. We're not sure how many lives the child has. Oh gosh. What just happened is Tooth and Tail crashed. Let me put on the break screen real quick. Sorry about that, guys. Bam. Okay. Yeah. So we just finished the first match, and my Steam just like totally crashed out here. Not even just Tooth and Tail. I was like logged out totally out of Steam, but I have a fast computer, and Tooth and Tail should be back up in just a second. There it is. Not for you guys, apparently. Oh, there it is. Okay. Jeez Louise. Off to a great start. Okay, so Pedro just put a point on the board for the Guardians, or rather, for his own reasons. Okay, so, but the child ended up fleeing after that battle, so the players have a chance. It's really up to the raiders, I should say, not players, how they want to play it out. And basically what happened there was we had the 1A room down here. We got Child as a raider. We've got Pedro as the Guardian. Child runs in. Pedro gives him a boppin'. And then the Child decides he is not going to attack that Guardian again. So is that it for... Let me see if that... I think that should be it, because I believe since he didn't eliminate the Guardian, he can't move and he can't loot any treasure or anything like that. Alright, so next we had room 1B, which nobody entered, and room 1C, several players entered here, and they... I believe are fighting it out amongst themselves. Now there was... No, hang on. Okay, there are Royal Sentinels in this room, which are from King James's expedition. And the 4 raiders attempted to bribe the Royal Sentinels into staying here. Oh, I'm sorry, the other way around. The Sentinels tried to bribe the raiders into staying here the next turn to keep watch on the room. We don't know the nature of the bribe. Haru did not take the bribe. However, the other 3 players, Rabin, Kazaris, and Lego Man, accepted, and the Royal Sentinels took a break. Essentially, I think the Royal Sentinels were supposed to be like guarding this room, and they bribed the raiders, hey, keep watching this room while we go outside and take a break. is the idea. And then the 3 raiders. So then Raven, Kazaris, and Lego Man decided amongst themselves, you know what? We're not going to split the bribe. We're going to... we're just going to say one player has to stay here until the next room. And to determine who that is, we have a free-for-all here. So, but I believe the player that's going to stay in the room is going to get all the money, right? From the bribe. Let me make sure. Let me make sure that's right. I think that's right. What's going on, everybody in chat? It's good to see y'all. Okay, so here's the deal. So the Royal Sentinels, there's some Royal Sentinels here from King James, and they're supposed to be guarding this room. And they say, hey, we want to go have a smoke break. And, you know, let's pay you guys to watch the room for us. Haru said, I'm not involved in this. And the other 3 players decided, okay, we're going to have a free-for-all to determine who stays in the room and who gets the bribe cash. Okay, so we're going to go into the first match of that in just a second. Bam. All right. Okay. All right, so we're going into a free-for-all here to see, and keep in mind these guys can kind of put down as many lives as they want. So this is like the first round of the free-for-all. And again, we don't know exactly how many lives everybody has, because it depends on what class they are, and we don't know what class they are. So in the bottom, we've got Lego Man. In the left, we've got Fuzzy Lanius, which I believe is Ravenlead. And in the right, we've got Kaiserus. Okay, let me do something about the scoreboard here. I'm just gonna say like free-for-all, free-for-all. I think that makes sense. Okay. Okay, so let's see how these players want to deal with this match. Very similar decks between Lego Man and Kaiserus. Lego Man looks like he's got a pretty nice start down here with a couple gristmills right in his front yard and his backyard here. Meanwhile, Kaiserus doesn't look terrible. You know, he's got a natural over here he can take and defend pretty easily. And this 12 o'clock base is going to be rough. Like, I feel like Ravenlead probably got the worst spawn. You know, it's going to be hard for him to take that base. It's going to be hard for him to take this base. Maybe he can get this campfire in the middle. So if I'm Ravenlead, I might be considering some kind of one base all in. But again, it's hard to really think like that in a free-for-all, because really what you're trying to do in the free-for-all is lay low and let the other players murder each other, you know, while you sit back and just get swole. So let's see how they decide to play it out. Lego Man already going for that quick expansion. Meanwhile, Kaiserus just building up, and Ravenlead going for a pretty quick snake here. Not unreasonable, but maybe a bit risky in a match like this. Let's see if that plays out for him. Let me turn my game, but this should be better on the levels. Doing a little bit of level adjustment here. Let me know if the microphone versus music is good. But yeah. Alright, so both players here, again, taking these easy expansions they have, and poor Ravenlead really doesn't have a spot to farm. He's maybe thinking about that 12 o'clock, but if I'm Ravenlead, maybe I'm going to try to... What's interesting about Tooth and Tail is it seems bad for Ravenlead, but he could do something like really commit to a one-base push, try to punish either one of these players for being greedy. Like, look how greedy Kaiserus is being, for example. Took a second base, took a tier 3. He did throw up a turret, and that is a pretty cool spot for a turret, but it doesn't quite do the job of really protecting the entire main over here. But yeah, if I'm Ravenlead, I'm probably mainly thinking about trying to steal the real estate from one of my opponents. But actually going to go for this 12 o'clock, which might work out for him since Kaiserus is being a little bit passive right now, and Kaiserus is really the one that is kind of contesting this 12 o'clock. Ravenlead getting a great run around, making sure he knows exactly what's going on. Kaiserus seems a little bit in the dark, and Rabin Lee decides to push into Kaiserus. I think that makes sense, especially because we have the balloon down there, and Kaiserus is kind of the one that he's got to compete more for area on the map with. And this turret, again, does a nice job of defending the second base, but, you know, given the right angle, it's really not going to come into play too much just defending the main. And Rabin Lee is pushing in here very strong. I think a snake did go down, but he's dealt a lot of damage already. Lego Man's going to come over, see what's going on, and just be... Oh, I figured he'd just go home. That's what I would do. Let's see. Double trouble here for Kaiserus. Is going to get knocked out of this pretty quick if both these players keep the aggression on. And yeah, actually poison that gristmill down. Runs away. Doesn't even look at the explosion in the background. You know, cool, puts the sunglasses on kind of thing. And I was curious if maybe he was going to try to take the opportunity while Lego Man was out of position to swing around and attack his base, but just coming home for now. Lego Man looks like he's in a very, very good spot this match. He's got an economy that's through the roof. Kaiserus is incredibly crippled. The only chance Kaiserus really has anymore is if green and blue kind of leave him alone for a while. But either player probably has the army to just come over there and swat him out of the game whenever they feel like it. But again, you know, what's my incentive to do that if I'm green or blue? If I run over here as Lego Man, and yeah, even if I beat down on Kaiserus, but I lose things in the process, and Rabin Lee's going to have an edge on me, and you know, Rabin Lee's probably thinking the exact same thing, which does work out for Kaiserus in the end, since he is going to have a little bit of an opportunity to sit back and lay low, since there's really not a big incentive for either player to come over there and give him the bops. Rabin's starting to catch up on this economy, but again, man, I'm worried about him because of Lego Man. Now, he does have the Falcons. Like, once he puts it together that he's playing against Owls on both sides, I think he hard shifts into a lot of Falcons, perhaps. And Lego Man just trying to, ooh, I don't think the one snake tag is enough to get it. Close. Yeah, that would have been a huge pickup. Look at this. Lego Man is sitting happy. Wolf finally on the way for Rabin. Let's see. I might do a little fast forwarding until we really get to some action here. Again, this looks great for Lego Man. Those Falcons are on the way for Rabin Lee. I'd really love Rabin Lee to just go ahead and grab the rest of the farms up there, too. This is kind of cute from Lego Man. Again, you remember I was talking about earlier, like, well, we don't want to just let Red stay here for free, but I also don't want to lose anything attacking him. Coming in here with these owls and just trying to slowly work him down is really smart. The one owl versus one owl plus squirrels obviously didn't work out too well for him, but as this owl count continues to rise for Lego Man, you know, once he does that with like 3 owls, it's going to be real hard for Red to hold it. And yeah, this Air Force is starting to get built up here by Lego Man, and I don't know if their opponents are going to be able to deal with it. You know, Wolf plus Falcon is pretty strong. You know, Rabin Lee probably eventually wants to get rid of these squirrels, maybe. He's found good micro here from Lego Man, just picking apart at Rabin Lee as best he can. And running through the original mice is Rabin Lee, continuing to push forward with this Wolf, buffing his units in the back. A lot of steroided tier 2s here, slamming through Lego Man's army and starting to do some real damage. The mice from these owls is just not enough to compete with the DPS here. The skunks do a great job handling the mice overall. And this is looking kind of deadly. Oh man, meanwhile at the top, get him! Get him, Kaiserus! Yes! Always love seeing the guy who's like almost killed but not knocked out come do something. You know, this could destroy this entire base. And yeah, he could just run away with this owl and let these mice go to town. And poor Rabin Lee's really committed in this fight down here that he's kind of winning, so he doesn't really want to go home. Those mice eventually cleaned up by the pigs, but you know, one more round of mice like that is all he's probably going to need to finish that off. Blech. Blech. Alright. Alright. Smart move from Lego Man here, just trying to use the free mice. Now that he's got 3 owls, this is starting to become a considerable amount of damage here. Yeah, it actually shreds through the remaining forces of Rabbit Lead. Rabbit Lead playing very well this game, but doesn't have access to as many resources as he needs compared to the other 2 players. And meanwhile, Kaiserus, he's hanging out. He's getting that owl number 2. He doesn't have falcons. Yeah, I think Lego Man's getting wise to this. You know, doesn't want to leave Kaiserus alone for too long to be a potential rival in this game at some point. And he's probably going to be able to just finish him off, especially if Rabbit Lead doesn't try to counterattack Lego Man. Yeah, all he's got to do is get that gristmill, trying to be really careful and not lose his valuable units here. As long as he keeps all his tier 2 alive, yeah, this is that counter opportunity I was talking about from Rabbit Lead. But Lego Man gets the job done, and he's heading home and has a much superior army at this point. Rabbit Lead trying to get something done, but there is just too much here in the field for Lego Man. I think Lego Man played this one really smart. He kind of identified he had a good opportunity to macro, invested in some defense, invested in some higher tier tech, and was eventually able to pull it off. So let me consult the gents and see what happens now. Okay, so the losers ran. Now, do people get to move, or is that round 2? I think that's probably round 2. Let me see. Okay. All right. So we don't know how much money Lego Man got from the bribe. But essentially, so what's happened so far, guys, if you're just tuning in, is the first thing we did was resolve room 1A, where the child was up, the raider was up against the guardian Pedro. And the child has to beat the guardian twice to knock him out. However, the first round, Pedro got a kill on the child, so the child lost a life. We don't know how many lives the players have. It depends on what class they are. But anywhere between 1 and 3, and then the child decided, I'm not going to risk it again, decides not to fight the Guardian and stays in room 1A. Room 1B, nothing really happened because no players are there. In room 1C, there was a couple Royal Sentinels stationed there by King James, but they wanted to take a break and bribe the players to watch the room for them for some amount of gold. Haru decided not to participate, but Rabbit Lead, Kaiserus, and Lego Man decided to have a free-for-all to determine who takes the bride and who stays there. And the winner of that was Lego Man. They could have continued, but they didn't want to lose another life. So far we've seen the child, Rabbit Lead, and Kaiserus all lose 1 life. Lego Man ended up winning that free-for-all and is going to take the bribe, however much money that is, we don't know. And he's going to stay there next turn, I believe. And yeah, so now we're moving on to room 1D, which was a quite popular room. Yeah, we know Lego Man got something, we don't know what it was, in exchange for being the one who stayed in the room next turn. So Lego Man is not going to be able to move next turn, but he's going to get some sweet loot. Alright, so now we're on room 1D, which a lot of players chose to start off with, and they're going to have to come up against Master Stealth. And Let's see which one we're going into first there. Alright, we're going to go into Dizon first. So, this is a bit confusing, but it kind of makes sense if you think about the fact that like all the players are resolving their turns at the same time. So, we've got Dizon coming up in the fight against... So, we got the Raider Dizon versus the Guardian Masta. And let's see what happens here. Alright, in the right, we've got Dizon, the Raider, and his opponent, the one and only Masta Stealth, the Guardian. Nice rainy map here. Too bad we don't have like a pyramid themed. Like, there is some cool stuff in the map editor actually, where you can have like more man-made structure kind of maps and stuff like that. That would have been sweet for this, but we didn't really want to do custom maps here. That's like a whole other thing. The RNG of the maps involved in Tooth and Tail is actually a very, very big part of the game. So we've done a couple custom map tournaments, and they've turned out very well, I thought. Man, we gotta get somebody else besides Quartermaster here on the first player, so we get some different music tracks going on. But so far, nothing. A little bit of skitting and scatting here for both players. Let's see, 8 farm openings from both sides, most likely. 7 farm Warren actually from Mr. Stealth. And we haven't seen a Warren yet from Dizon yet. Puts one up there on the high ground. Dizon's a very powerful player. Masta Stealth, one of the devs at Pocketwatch. He's been around since the very, very beginning. Known for his cheesy play overall. However, his deck doesn't look very cheesy to me. It looks pretty standard here. I'm not sure how much the balloons are really standard. Especially Masta Stealth's playstyle, I would expecting something more like Mines. We see Chameleons, a little bit of bait and switch here. Did Dizon scout? Yeah, he scouted the second tier 1. Masta Stealth changed it up, throws down the Chameleons instead, and Dizon going for a really quick expo off the back of a bunch of tier 1. So let's see what's up. Is Masta Stealth going to try a big push with these Chameleons? Is he going to try to be a sneakeroni and come in here and maybe try to backstab him with the Chameleons, really utilizing that stealth aspect? The pigeons kind of make me think he's gearing up for a push, which, ooh, nice little mind games here from Dizon, giving Masta Stealth a false read on how many farms are on that second base, something that's very, very important. Actually, Masta Stealth hasn't even scouted it, so I guess Dizon just decided to change his mind about his build order there. Yeah, Masta Stealth very passive so far, I gotta say. Putting his units into position, trying to keep the Chameleons back a little bit, I think, to just not give away the fact he has Chameleons. Dizon gonna get a decent scout in, though. Not gonna see any tier 2. The fact that he hasn't even seen the Warren makes these Chameleons even more of a surprise than they normally would. And here's that balloon. So I think what Masta Stealth is going for is to get Dizon to jump on this balloon and be blindsided by the Chameleons. Gonna get that board going down. He doesn't even know about this balloon, which is unfortunate for him because by the time that it's actually scouted, it's probably gonna be a bit late. Masta Stealth sees the Warren and Dizon sells it, opting to go big on more tier 1. Always a smart move. And here comes Masta Stealth, convinced. He's got a nice entry here since his opponent's going for a tier 3, going for so much economy. And this is looking good for Masta Stealth. Both his Chameleons go down, however. And he's forced to retreat back, but he did trade out reasonably. And he also picked up a couple farms. So overall, seems good. And that balloon is no joke. I mean, you fight... Oh, Dizon still hasn't even seen it, really. He's about to see it now, as it shoots him in the head. That's a very good balloon placement, by the way. That is the only... Well, I guess Dizon could run all the way around here to get around this balloon, but That balloon is right where the contestant is going to be. I wouldn't even hate to see a second balloon there if Massive Stealth could really pull it off. Both chameleons back here for Massive Stealth. Needs to be careful. He doesn't want to doesn't want to fight too far forward out of the range of his balloon. Yeah, and Dizon picking that fight up very nicely. A lot of those toads got slowed down in the water, didn't connect. He took that fight outside of the range of the balloon, which was also kind of rough for him. Don't fart near the balloon. Says Classic Metal. Good to see you, man. Alright. I mean, yeah, like I said, Dizon could attack all the way around it, but if I'm Dizon, I'm very happy right now. He won that last engagement pretty convincingly. He could even just come up here, target fire down this balloon very quickly with the snakes. Yeah, that's enough. That's going to go down. Nice connections here from Massive Stealth on his, with his toads, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. No tier 2 remains here for Massive Stealth, and these snakes in the back line doing a good job splitting up where they're spitting their poison out at. This might be too much damage, unfortunately, here for the Guardian, Massive Stealth. Or, fortunately for Dizon, as it looks like he's going to take 1 life off Massive Stealth. And I'm assuming, I'm not even going to consult the gentleman this time, I'm assuming Dizon's going to go for the throat here. Now, how it works, we'll get to that in a little bit, I guess. Alright, so let's see if Dizon, if he doesn't, I'll know, but yeah, Dizon is going to decide to keep the pressure up. Keep in mind, the Guardians have 2 lives. So if Dizon wins here, Massive Stealth is dead. Dead as hell. He's still, like, how it works is he's still alive for the turn. Because the other players, for one, don't even know the results of this until, I guess, just now, or maybe previously. Like, let's say Dizon beats Massive Stealth, and you might be thinking, well, Massive Stealth's got all these other players that he's got to be a Guardian against. He still fights all of them, but regardless of what happens in those matches, he died to Dizon. So it's almost like parallel dimension Massive Stealths is a good way to think about it. And all the raiders, by the way, in order to have a share of the loot in the room, must have defeated the Guardian. I believe that's correct. Little Mastamole, or Mastamine, pretty standard. Another interesting Mastamine here. Ooh, that pig is gonna get it, though. A little bit of a backfire. Massive Stealth mainly, I guess, wanted to keep that there for scouting. Really, though, since you can only, like, see what your commander sees, like, yeah, you would see on the mini-map, I suppose, that Warrens are going down, but you wouldn't know what kind of Warrens until you actually walked over there and took a look. So I think, like, the scouting mines, like, the one he's got in position here makes a lot more sense, because it I would even think, like, a mine over here to scout would make more sense, because really, the scouting you want to do with those mines, yeah, exactly where you just put one, is really to figure out when, like, troop movements are happening. You know, that's where I could see a scouting mine really being important. Alright, Dizon's got a nice double high ground second base here. He's kind of packed up in this 12 o'clock position fairly well. So this mid-game for Dizon is going to be great. It's going to be hard for Massive Stealth to really get in here and attack into this. However, if Massive Stealth is patient, it shouldn't be too hard for him to contain Dizon, right? Like, take the space here. Start throwing down barbed wire. Start putting a ton of mines out here, perhaps. And just growing bigger than his opponent. But Dizon's not totally choked in here. He can run around and grab the space in the third if he'd like, or 3 o'clock position. Just goes ahead and clears out those mines. Both players macroing up for a minute. We will do a bit of fast forwarding since we've got a lot to go over today. And Massive Stealth throwing this barbed wire back to try to protect his own little area. I think I would have rather seen him maybe take this base and throw the barbed wire a bit more aggressively. But, you know, there's ups and downs to everything. If he did that, Dizon could have simply walked around this way and attacked in. And Massive Stealth, just even after that Mine proc, like, still just doesn't have a lot to try to contest this battle here. He doesn't really want to get into a skirmish with Dizon at the moment, since Dizon does just have so many units, and he's got that Owl on the way. And I think this is looking great for Dizon here. I mean, he's he's gotten more value. You know, a lot of these mines for Massive Stealth have, I guess, they have traded out to like 1 unit, I suppose. So I think value-wise, they shouldn't be too different. But the real story here is that Dizon really put his foot down on this second base much more quickly than Massive Stealth did. He's got that 16 farm economy kicking. And he is just getting bigger and bigger as Massive Stealth is trying to catch up to just having 6 farms. And yeah, Dizon already taken that 3 o'clock base. Does Massive know it's there? No, he hasn't even got a chance to scout in that area. So he might actually be playing on some bad information here, thinking this is the only way Dizon can come in. Like, imagine, oh, I'd love it if Dizon like just took his Owl or something and backstabbed the base of Massive Stealth. That'd be really cool. Alright, Massive Stealth wanting to move forward. He's got a lot of tier 2 here. A lot of skunks, but he is fighting up a hill, but he does have the high ground vision via his flying units. Oh, a little bit of miscontrol on this Owl. It goes down, but it does tank a lot of damage in the process, so that might have been Dizon's intent all along. Like, I don't care. You know, if the Owl dies, it did its job. It tanked a bunch. It made me some mice. He even sells off some stuff, wants to get a second Owl. It even keeps the macro up, so again, just looking really good for Dizon here. And Massive Stealth doesn't really have a next play, right? Like, the army that he just threw at his opponent is kind of his army composition. The best thing he could do is just get more stuff of this same mix. But Dizon looks like he's gearing up for another big push. As long as he keeps the snakes alive and his Owl alive, the tier 1, very expendable, but he should have such a good reproduction rate on that with so many tier 1 warrants here. Fight continues forward. So much skunk gas here. Actually doing a ton of work. But again, just with this amount of warrants, the rate at which he's going to be remaking squirrels is very, very quick. Like, he's already got another 7. Third base on the way for Massive Stealth. And Massive Stealth managed to get a couple pigs in those fights, but big engagement from here coming in, and Dizon losing that Owl again. That actually really hurts, and this is looking very good for Massive Stealth. Losing 2 tier 3 units is just so expensive. And I don't think the reinforcing squirrels actually will be enough. They might not be coming in big enough numbers. These snakes gonna go down as well. Massive Stealth looks like he's gonna take a win. Let's see. Can't quite count Dizon out yet, though. Gonna go ahead and sell that Owl Warren. Maybe sell a Snake Warren. No, he's gonna go hard. He's gonna go big on the snakes. Yeah, this is looking good for Massive Stealth. He's got the better economy here, and his army comp might be a little bit vanilla, might be a bit basic, but it's tried and true. It's a nice combo. You know, you got the skunks up there to deal the AoE, you got the falcons for the direct damage, the burst, some pigeons for some sustain, and of course you got the squirrels as your grunts. Man, this is another game with KSR music. It's killing me. I think every match today has been KSR music. It's fine. Okay. I think this is smart play from Dizon, just trying to get out what he can. The 4 snakes was pretty ambitious, but he got there. And yeah, this is the line I was talking about earlier. But again, Massive Stealth might be thinking he's in a better spot than he is. He doesn't know about this third base from Dizon. He doesn't even know that's an entryway. But frankly, it doesn't look like he cares. He needs to be careful. He doesn't have a whole lot of squirrels on the ground. to really buffer for these Falcons. Those Falcons just get shredded immediately. They're basically glass cannon units. He's on trying to find an angle to get in. Got a lot of money here. Decides to just go ahead and try to get another owl out. Surprised he doesn't put in a couple ferrets, you know. Dunk down on him in between matches, in between fights. Ooh, Dizon out of position in the process of running around to get to the underbelly of Master Stealth's base. Master Stealth's gonna jump in. He probably thinks he's about to win the game right here with this Gristmill, but now he sees what's going on. Yeah, he realizes he's in a base race, and he looks like he's just ready to win. But he's gonna be surprised as he doesn't win right here, but he's on the right track to find that last remaining Gristmill. I don't think Dizon's gonna have time. He doesn't have the money to throw down another Gristmill either, but he should just here in a second. Yeah, I think Master Stealth wins this. Even if Dizon starts a Gristmill right now, it's not going to be fast enough. And that's going to be it. This is a Master win, indeed. Okay, so my dummy replays here are desynced. So let's see. Now it's Dizon's decision if he wants to keep going or not. You know, Dizon's got a limited amount of lives. Either it's 1 through 3. And it's up to him in between each match if he continues the fight. And it seems like he's going to. Alright, in the bottom, rocking that Fox, we've got Dizon. And his opponent to the top left. Fresh off of victory here, we've got Master Stealth representing the Guardians. Alright, I feel like Master Stealth's deck is just like bread and butter ladder stuff, right? You know, if you had a new player and they're asking you what kind of deck would you recommend, I think what Master Stealth's got would be great. Meanwhile, Dizon has a pretty strong deck as well, but he's got a bit more flavor here with those reptilian units, with the Fox, and not running 2 of the kind of combat tier 1s. I feel like is a bit risky in the current meta. You know, typically having like Squirrel Toad or Squirrel Mole or something, even Squirrel Lizard. But just dropping down to the singular Squirrel here. Still does have those Pigeons. Pigeons are still great. So let's see how this one unfolds. Another nice looking map here for Dizon. I mean, this kind of, I call it the castle, when you just have 4 Gristmills like this. And yeah, it's got high ground around it, but you know, all Dizon's got to do is secure this position right here. And he's in great shape to just take a ton of bases. Meanwhile, Master Stealth, it's not looking so hot as far as map gen goes. He does have the natural, which a lot of times is all you need, especially with a deck with the boar. You know, I feel like you're going for like a 2-base push, probably, with Master Stealth's comp here. Quick chameleons from Dizon. Master Stealth gonna push out, do a little bit of aggressive scouting. You know, take a look what's going on. Maybe get into a scruffle, maybe not. Is gonna come in and scout the tier 2. Ooh, needs to be careful though. Dizon thinking about hopping in on these squirrels, but decides against it. First chameleons coming down for Dizon. And the boar on the way for Master Stealth, so looks like he wants to do a 1-base all-in. You know, build up some supporting units for this boar, probably just more tier 1. A bunch of toads, a bunch of squirrels. And this attack, I'm not a big fan of from Master Stealth here. You know, he's investing in this tier 3, and then he kind of moves out before he's got the tier 3. I think when you're going for like a 1-base tier 3 driven all-in, you're just trying to hang on and stay defensive until you've got that big tier 3 unit. And since Dizon went for more of a traditional mid-game with the tier 2, especially the Bruiser unit, the Chameleon, that does great in fights like this, he's making a lot of headway here. Yeah, and Massive Stealth sees the writing on the wall, and Dizon takes him out. Okay, so Massive Stealth the Guardian has been defeated, which means at the end of this round, he's done. He's just out, I'm pretty sure. Like, he's just dead. He's dead Guardian. However, it's not that cut and dry for the other Raiders. Since we had so many Raiders in this room, the other Raiders, for one, aren't aware of the results of Dizon versus Massive Stealth. And for two, Massive Stealth kind of splits. Like a parallel universe Massive Stealth. Multiple Mastas here. And each Raider, if they want a shot at this prize, is going to have to defeat Massive Stealth themselves. But regardless of how all the other Raiders do, Massive Stealth has been defeated since Dizon took him out. I believe that's correct. If I'm wrong, just yell at me in the chat, gentlemen. So, next, we're still resolving the room 1D. Again, we had 6 Raiders enter this room. And Illuminatus is going to try to take on Massive Stealth and get his cut of the cheese. Let's see what happens. Yeah, they're instants, basically. Alright, Massive Stealth here in the bottom left, and his opponent up top, the Raider, Illuminatus. We got a dev fight on our hands. Dev fight! So let's see some of the brains behind Tooth and Tail, how they end up playing this out. Illuminatus, more balloons here from both players. So maybe the balloons are in a good spot. Maybe it's like a meta game kind of thing where it's like toads and moles and skunks and chameleons all can't hit balloons. You know what I mean? Maybe these players just like balloons. I'm the same way. I like ferrets and foxes, so I typically use those units even if they're not, you know, the strongest thing in the world in the meta. Alright, standard openings thus far. 8 farms from both players. Map looks good for Masta this time around. I think lately, on these past few games, he's kind of been on the losing end of that map RNG. But this is doable for Eel. He's got a nice natural. He's got a nice campfire. And again, what we've got going on here was we're still in room 1D. And Illuminatus is fighting his instance of Massive Stealth to try to claim a share of the loot. Skunk coming down here from Eel. Meanwhile, Massive Stealth grabbing that Gristmill. We do have different music this time around with that civilized soundtrack. Ooh, double tier 2. Very quickly from Eel. I think he scouted the expo. No, he hasn't yet. Kind of tries to poke in and see what Mass is up to. Meanwhile, Massive Stealth moving forward. Gonna try to get an attack off. Target firing down well on these squirrels. Really punishing Eel for going for such fast tier 2. And yeah, I like it. I think that was solid from Massive Stealth. He got a warrant or two. He traded well, and he's on the advantage as far as economy goes. Eel just now starting his second base. And yeah, Eel's got the higher tier units, but he can't exactly attack out with them just yet. And by the time he's probably ready to attack, Massive Stealth would have some of his own. And Massive Stealth's still rocking this core that we've seen him use a lot with the Squirrel, Pigeon, Falcon, Skunk. You know, kind of changing around the other 2 units in his deck, but I feel like his playstyle. He really likes that core. I think it's a solid core. Great positioning on this balloon, by the way. Master Stealth has, if you gotta give him anything, I do gotta say his balloon placement has been very on point these past few games. That balloon's gonna do a great job of defending all this area. Yeah, Eel does have a pocket to like run around this way, but if he did that, he'd be very all in. It'd be hard to retreat out of that. And the Mexican stare down. The standoff between the commanders for a second. So at this phase of the game, it is very, very important to keep an eye on the tech of your opponent, to keep an eye on the farm count. Ooh, this is going to end up bad for Master Stealth. Loses a Falcon for nothing. That snake does make it out, and with that extra reptile regen, is going to be back up to full HP in no time. Nice try there from Master Stealth. He got really close. He got it to 1 HP, you know. We're at a bit of a standstill. I still think this is looking better for Masta here, as he has the better economy. I feel like that better trade he took earlier was probably evened out a little bit from losing that Falcon there. Bloom coming down from Eel. Is that going to trigger Masta Stealth to push forward? Looks like it is, but he's going to chicken out and come home at last minute. And Eel's like, no man, I'm getting my own balloon right here. This looks a little stalematey. Oh, another attempted Falcon harassment. That's not going to work well for Master Stealth. So this is actually starting to look better and better for Eel here. Like, losing those tier 2 units is no joke. He's going to do his own little tier 2 harassment. Ooh, gonna make it out though. No harm, no foul. No tier 3 here from either player, so kind of what you see is what you get. But just bigger, badder, more deathball-y versions. It's really going to come down to positioning, third bases. Third base is going to be a pain in the ass here for Eel. I think if I'm Master Stealth, I want to play passive, I want to get my third base up, and I just want to keep making more and more Falcons. Maybe even another pair of Skunks. Yeah, it's really on Eel to do something. Eel's either got to push back Master Stealth enough to secure his own third base, which I honestly just don't think is going to happen. Not that I don't think Eel would be able to push Master Stealth back, but I feel like if Eel pushed him back so far, he took this third base, he's basically won the game at that point. There we go. Finally, these Falcons getting something done. Ooh, as I say that, I'm watching the poison here. Ooh, the Falcon did live. Okay, so Master Stealth getting a bit of Falcon micro value there, and takes a great fight, too. Yeah, this is rough for Eel, man. He doesn't have some kind of unit like the Badger, for example, to really make his army so much more threatening than his opponent. He doesn't have something like Fox or Ferrets to try to get damage done in between engagements and try to get ahead that way. Running away again is going to give Master Stealth a huge tempo advantage in this fight, but Master Stealth loses his commander. However, I don't even think he needs to micro his army at this point, as he is just slaying through Eel Luminatus here. Is Master Stealth going to get another point on the board for himself here? This is looking real bad for Eel. It's Master's game to lose now. And yeah, not going to overhype this one, guys. It looks like Eel is just Dunyan rings here. Take him out of the fire, because he's cooked. And let's hop to the next match. That poor unmicroed army. There we go. All right. All right, so Master Stealth claiming another life of the Raiders. All right, so at this point, again, Eel Luminatus can decide to continue fighting the Guardian, or he can bail out. And he decides to bail. He is not going to risk getting knocked out of this event by Massive Stealth. I don't blame him. Alright, next up we've got Hearts. Who is Hearts? Oh, Heart. Okay. Is Heart a new Tooth and Tailer? I have never heard of Hearts. It's either a new player or somebody using a pseudonym. But we've got the next raider coming up now. Again, the same thing. We're still in room 1D. So I guess I can give just a quick map look at here for you guys. And I think after we resolve each room, I will give a recap. The rules make sense, but it is complicated. I mean, it's kind of like a board game we're playing here. It basically is a board game more than it is Tooth and Tail, to be honest. It's just that resolving combat in the board game is Tooth and Tail, if that makes sense. So we're on room 1D. We've seen the matches between Hearts. We've seen the matches, or I'm sorry, Eel and Dizon. So Dizon actually beat Massive Stealth. Yeah, I'll give the recap later. Give that a recap in a minute. But Dizon lost a life. Let me keep track of this stuff so I don't forget and be a terrible host saying the wrong thing. Alright. He's an old player, Heartseed. Seen him playing Pocketwatch Cup. He's got a cute avatar. Does have a cute avatar. Right on. Cool. Alright. Let's see how our Raider Heartseed, apparently an old school player, coming back into the scene. And their opponent in the bottom left, the Guardian, Master Stealth. With a good showing here as far as Guardians go. He managed to take down 2 lives of the Raiders, 1 off of Eel, 1 off of Dizon. Let me keep track of my notes so I don't forget. Okay. Heartseed, I like his comp. I run similar styles, except I try to fit a fox in there, but I love the lizards. Meanwhile, here's the Master Moles. And they haven't been scouted. Oh no, Heartseed. Ugh. He knows something's up, though, by scouting the 6 farm opening. So let's play this from Heartseed's perspective here. Yeah, sells a farm, builds a warren. That's the right call. Master Stealth gonna wait for 2 moles, maybe the 3rd, or is he gonna come in right now? Jig's up. He's moving in. Nice sell on that farm. And yeah, 2 moles is really not enough DPS. The 3rd mole coming in, he is gonna kill a pig. And that's gonna be that. So trade out 2 moles for a pig. Delayed his economy a little bit, but he also delayed Heartseed's economy. I'd say that was fine for Master Stealth. Not like a big, you know, crazy DJ Soak-esque amount of damage with the moles or anything like that. Oh, those cabins hurting these lizards too. You know, this is so, the math on these kinds of little 3 lizard run-by attacks is so slim. Like anything like taking an extra hit from this cabin can really, really mess things up. So we're going to see Squizzard versus Squode here. And on paper, this favors the Squode, the Squirrel Toad player. But if Heartseed's smart about it, the Lizard player can win these engagements. Ooh, Master Stealth, don't run your toads into cabins here, buddy. Get some damage done. I mean, those toads blew up on the Warrens, but actually I don't hate that too much. I mean, he traded 2 toads for a Warren, so it seems good. The Massive Stealth with this very heavy Tier 1, Tier 2 style. Squirrel Toad Mole is nothing to bat an eye at. And Heartseed, unfortunately, doesn't really have a big powerhouse Tier 2 unit like a Skunk or Chameleon or Snake. You know, he's got Ferrets, which I love Ferrets. They're great, but they're not the best thing that you're going to want in big, open engagements. And Falcons are kind of the same way. Falcons scale better than basically any unit in the game. However, in small little engagements, you know, you might not have enough front line to really get the most value out of those Falcons. But he is going to try to get this Ferret up, and I'm worried for him because its Massa attack is coming through with this Cavalcade of Tier 1, running these Toads right into all those squirrels there. Great connections. And Massa Stealth's just going to sacrifice this army to get damage done. Now, keep in mind, Heartseed does have the second base up and running. Oh, well, so does Massa Stealth, though. Darn it. I was trying to find something good going on here for Heartseed. But this is looking rough for him. Massa Stealth's playing great. You know, he's been very aggressive this entire match. He's gotten some good damage in, some good trades. Oh, this is a good spot to keep him, I guess. The army comes up, especially the balloons granting so much vision here. You know, if you keep your Ferrets like on this ledge, they'd be able to shell down at the incoming army. And this isn't the best map in the world for lizards. You know, there's only this one entrance, you know, in between these players. And no, right as he moves the Ferrets, his plan could have worked. Here comes a big fight. These Ferrets helping out a bit, but I don't think they help out as much as these Falcons do. And Massa Stealth really just focusing on killing like all the units besides the Ferrets, because you can micro against the shots of the Ferrets because they can't hit the Falcons. And actually, Bison's starting to hold on. Massa Stealth might be overextending. He does finally get that balloon. It would have been really, really bad for him if he didn't. But now we're stuck in this situation I was talking about. Now the squirrel's coming out. Should be able to clean up these Falcons. That one looks like it is going to get away. Well, if Heartseed can maybe get into some Falcons of his own. Yeah, sells off the Ferrets. Realizes that that's not the unit he needs in this position. Alright, let's see what's happening next. Got a bit of a lull in this game as Massa Stealth's building up some more Falcons. It's rough because the Lizards are good against the Falcons, but you just don't want them to run into those Toads. I mean, it's not that hard to do, though. You can just pull your Lizards back, let Massa Stealth's Toads, you know, either die off or get a hit or two on the Squirrels. And then you're left over with a bunch of Lizards, which should play well. Another balloon going down. Heartseed is just trying to stabilize. A big attack coming in here from Massa Stealth again. Kicking in before Heartseed's transition really gets underway. Tier 2 Warren going down. Heartseed holds, though. This is a rough one. Like, I feel like Massa Stealth had this earlier, but off the back of some good holds and some defender's advantage, Heartseed seems to be coming back here and just going down to the bread and butter units, the tried and true Squirrels, just trying to get up a bunch of those and maybe see if he can just win the game by running over his opponent with a couple dozen of these little drunken bastards. It's actually a relatively balanced map, right? Like, both players have pretty reasonable access to 4 bases. It is a bit spread out. But I don't mind it. Oh, it looks like Massa Stealth's trying to, like, position his Falcons up here. and then maybe, you know, tell him to attack while his commander's over here. No, I think he can't quite get close enough. Oh, he barely can, actually, to hit one pig, but he's gonna lose the falcon, and the pig lives! Oh, man. Oh, Massive Stealth is tilted. I would be. Trying to be cool. Do some sneaky plays like this. Oh, that is rough stuff. Rough stuff, my man. Oh! No, he's gonna lose the other falcon! Massive Stealth, no! He's gotta quit trying to be cheeky. He's lost so many falcons by like trying to pull off these cool little micro plays. Which, hey, I can't blame him for trying, you know. Heartseed's starting to put it together, and one thing I really recommend if you're like Squizzard against Squode is just building up like 3 lizards, right? And using those lizards to sacrifice themselves into the toads to protect your squirrels. That seems to be a good way to go about it, and man, this is actually going to continue on. We're approaching the 10-minute marker. I'm going to have to speed this up a little bit. Heartseed did stabilize. I'm pretty impressed, to be honest. I thought he was super dead earlier on. Massive Stealth not quite executing certain things as well as possible. Now he's got 4 falcons, so this kind of move makes a bit more sense. Comes in and gets those pigs he was looking for. That's actually awesome, because if you're Heartseed, you probably don't even really want to retake these bases. Yeah, you can even come in here and maybe get the gristmill. Yeah. Only a couple of falcons hitting it. There he goes. Ooh, is he gonna get them all out? One dies. I think if he found that little nook here earlier and had all 4 hitting it, he might have been able to kill it. This is really going to come down to like Squirrel Falcon versus Squirrel Falcon here. Massive Stealth getting a bit of a more rounded out army. If you're Dizon too, like I wouldn't hate to see him go back into a couple ferrets here, because the ferrets can start doing things like harass in, you know. Once you get into this kind of like stalemate-y, bit of a longer match, you've got more room to do things like harass with ferrets. This attack from Massive Stealth is not working, as Heartseed just has a lot more area here. Kind of concave versus convex situation going on there. Massive Stealth taking some pretty significant blows. Alright, Heartseed trying to make something happen, but Massive Stealth is thinking his way back into this game, you know, via these kind of fumbled plays, is to just go super hard on these farms. Economy up to 19, floating a lot of money. He's got a lot of options here. I wouldn't hate to see just an enormous flock of falcons, to be honest. Go up to like 10 falcons. That looks like what Heart's trying to do. Alright, a little more fast forwarding. Massive Stealth is going for it. He's kind of all in this position. There's no way he's going home. And Heartseed comes in for the attack, but he's going to run away. I think he should have committed, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I think that pullback was really the nail in the coffin. He might not have won that fight, but even still, he would have had defender's advantage. He would have traded much more effectively. Like, once he pulled his units over here, he was kind of committed to this engagement. It's very, very difficult to retreat in Tooth and Tail. Is this another win for Massive Stealth? Indeed it is. Massive Stealth killing it. Alright, so Hart has the decision to continue on. Again, he's got somewhere between 1 to 3 lives. Or flee. He continues. So Heartseed here in the top, the Raider, down a life against the Guardian, Massive Stealth. And this is big. I mean, he's either got 1 or 2 lives left. And he's got to get 2 wins on Massive Stealth to make this worth it. Same deck here from Heartseed. Meanwhile, Massive Stealth changing it up a bit. This time around, looks like he dropped the snakes, dropped the moles, dropped the toads. He's got some lizards. Going to go for a 5-farm lizard opening. Should be scouted immediately, though, from Heartseed. Tried to be sneaky there with that placement. Wasn't quite sneaky enough, though. Yeah, going to go straight for that 5-farm double. I'd like to see Massive Stealth really respect this cabin and stay away from it and not take any hits off it. That is a big, big deal in these situations. Meanwhile, Heartseed did not sell. He's hoping he can hold off just with the 1 Warren. Oh, and that 1 Warren is so far away from the pigs, he could have actually targeted it, but he's going to go in and try to kill that Squirrel Warren as it's building and then just run away. Nice value there. Trading a lizard for a Warren is never bad. Massive Stealth also decided to go 1 down on the Warren, so he's not going for a 5-farm double anymore. I think he's kind of satisfied with the damage he got there. I would like to see him maybe go back up to that 8 farms, though, rather than throwing down another Warren. So both players building up some Squizzard here. Probably go ahead and just clear this campfire, or cabin, makes sense to me. Actually does it without losing anything, very nice. A couple of pieces of feather wire going down, meanwhile Heartseed trying to grab this Expo. I guess I like this map better for Heartseed. I don't know. Like, this middle territory is going to be very important for either player. If I was Massive Stealth, I'd want to grab this campfire, you know, for 1 for the extra income, but for 2 to build my territory up here, be able to place some barbed wire here on this double high ground. If Heartseed manages to get a balloon up here on this high ground, that would be very, very good for him. Yeah, we're still stuck on tier 1 tech for the moment. Massive Stealth flirting with the idea of attacking. You did take this second base, but hasn't put anything on it yet. Probably burrowing over to do so now. Let's see how far he goes. Just a couple. So I think I like this position slightly better for Heartseed, but not by a lot, especially once the skunks come out. That's going to really help Massive Stealth out. However, Heartseed's not going to give him that much time. He's kind of smells a little bit of weakness here. Going to press forward into this engagement. I think Heartseed should be able to take it. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that for Heartseed, right? You got the Warren, I mean, that's a big deal. Neither player really knows, is keeping an eye on, I should say, like the farm count on the second bases. It's very important information in this phase of the game. Figure out exactly how much your opponent's committing to economy versus army. Another big engagement here. This time, Massive Stealth has got some skunks and got some barbed wire to run him back into. Yeah, this is where Massive Stealth wants to be. He can just come in, harass with these skunks, run back to his barbed wire. Very close that time, though. Can't afford to lose any skunks to harassment. Alright, gonna try to rinse and repeat. Ooh, one skunk getting very low, but lives. I think some lizards went down there, so a bit of value. Oh, actually, a lot of lizards went down there. Wow. Alright, this is tense. There is very little distance between these two bases. This harass for Massive Stealth is slowly getting value. And I wonder if Heartseed's ever just going to pull the trigger and try to base race or something. He's getting up that critical mass of lizards to be able to do something like that. And he's moving in. He needs to target down these skunks, but the healing from the pigeons is enough to keep him alive. Only one falls. And all the units almost for Heartseed going down there. This is looking better and better for Massive Stealth, you guys. This army comp is nothing to bat an eye at. Squirrel, pigeon, skunk, very tried and true. One of the skunks goes down, but is it going to be enough for Heartseed to be able to pull off this defense? I don't think so. With so many tier 1 warrens, though, he is actually able to reinforce very fast. Manages to pick up the rest of the skunks on the way out. Very good for Heartseed, but he only lost one pig there. So that fight actually puts Heartseed back in business a little bit. The income graph is a bit of a lie. Keep that in mind, as these farming pigs for Massive Stealth are still alive over the ones for Heartseed, mainly because that opening, they should be farming out here shortly. But Heartseed gonna go for that full expo saturation. Yeah, it looks like he wants to do a base trade. Ooh, catching these units unmicroed would have been huge for him. I think he could have taken that engagement fairly nicely, at least killed the skunk. This barbed wire really hurts against something like lizards. Left his pigeons over there, unfortunately. But I feel like he needs more than just lizards here. Like, this is such a good comp for Massive Stealth, you know. Just having such a wide variety of units. So here we go. Let's see if it's enough. Yeah, they just kind of get slaughtered there, unfortunately. The army that Heartseed is putting together is really more designed for some, like, cheap backstab kind of tactics here. Get in where Massive Stealth's not looking, pick up a warren, pick up a farm. You know, that sort of thing. Alright. The constant aggression here from Blue. He's hoping to just slowly over time weighing his opponent down. He's gonna scout the space over the side. Very nice. You know, Massive Stealth could just commit his lizards. Yeah, I think that's smart to deal with that. And yeah, if Heartseed tries to defend, then Massive Stealth could just attack his second base. No, rather, Massive Stealth's just gonna guarantee he kills the pig, trade off his lizards. Yeah, the thing about these lizards is you really gotta catch the right engagements. And it looks like he finally gets a decent one. He's able to kill off a bunch of those skunks. And this is starting to become a war of attrition here, as both players are going to have to sell things off. Massive Stealth's probably going to have to sell off a tier 2, yeah. And I don't know, man. Maybe Heartseed can come back. Ooh, Massive Stealth not microing his units. Heartseed picks up a couple squirrels. Every piece of food at this point really matters. Nice runaround attack from Massive Stealth, but Heartseed's gonna go for it. And actually just kind of gets wrecked with his main army. Oh no, that's not good. Is Massive Stealth gonna take another life here? Looks like it. Heartseed probably about to tap out. Indeed he does. What are we watching here? What is happening? Massive Stealth wrecking faces. I'm in shock. All right. So Massive Stealth's taken 2 lives from Heartseed. And after that, Heartseed is gonna flee. So Massive Stealth has won 4 matches as a Guardian here. Really pulling his weight. And we are going on to the next Raider. We got Jet Erickson, the memer himself. Always one of the top players, always in good shape. I expect Jet to run over Masta, but let's see. Masta's been playing well. In the right, we've got the school bully, aka Jet Erickson. His opponent to left, Massive Stealth, the Guardian. Let me update my scoreboard here. Yeah, like on paper, this should be a 2-0 for Jet, right? But you never know, man. Massive Stealth's been playing very well. He's got this this deck, this comp that he's really comfortable with. I think that's really smart, especially in this kind of environment. You know, in more of the traditional environment, you really need to be changing your decks up. That's a way that some of the better players, like even including myself, it's a way you can kind of dismantle them as, oh, well, Delthius is a Fox player, or Jacoby's a Badger player, so let me engineer my deck and my strategy around that, you know. So we've seen, like, through the top players in some of the, you know, biggest tournaments we've had, you know, they're switching up their decks, they're coming in with different strategies, different styles, but in this situation you don't really need to, right? Because for one, the players don't have information on what kind of deck Massive Stealth's using. And for two, when you're only playing a couple matches, it doesn't matter so much, because the idea that your opponent's going to change their deck in between a best of 3 or something, you know, you're kind of betting on that, if that makes sense, right? Like, they might not, and they certainly don't need to. But when we get up to, like, best of 5s or best of 7s, or tournaments with double elimination, tournaments where you can see, you know, kind of follow the event while you're not playing it, see what the other guys are bringing to the table, that's where you need to be a lot more flexible. But I like this for Massive Stealth, to be honest. Like, let me get good with one style, and let me bring it to the table, because my opponents are not going to know what that style is, and we're not playing enough matches for it to really warrant, you know, different builds, different compositions, and it's smart. And Massive Stealth has been changing it up too. He's kind of had this core of, like, Squirrel, Falcon, Skunk, Pigeon most of the time, and he's kind of swapping out those other 2 slots. Meanwhile, Jet Erickson, strong player, bringing the Fox to the table this time around. I know he likes his snakes, he likes his balloons. It's really kind of hard to typecast Jet, other than being a bully. He likes to meme, you know, and in competitive gaming environments, when we say meme, we're often talking about nonsense builds that, like, shouldn't work, but they do work because they're not meta, right? If you're a fan of, like, Magic the Gathering, that's kind of like what Jank is. You know, a Jank deck is something that's not meta and might be bad in certain ways, but it's like your opponent doesn't expect it, so you can get in there and kind of blindside them with it. Alright, Jet moving forward, but a great balloon placement here for Massive Stealth. A lot of tier 1 units, but such good micro here from Jet on these skunks. He's got the pigeons to heal him back up. Massive Stealth lost a ton of units there to that gas. And Jet's just trying to come in at an angle where that balloon really won't help Massive Stealth. and pushing through. Again, Jet, you know, really on top of his scouting, recognized that Master Stealth was going for an expansion. That sort of thing. Kind of getting low, doesn't really want to lose these skunks here. Ooh, that balloon hit. Oh, I thought that balloon was going to hit that skunk. Now it will. There you go. Finally, that balloon's starting to pay for itself. Ooh, 1 HP on the skunk. You better run, boy. Oh, my God. Oh, that poor skunk. All right, gets away. Some decent damage there for Jet, though. However, Master Stealth is still standing, and he's still got the second base up. So even though he took some punches there, this might turn out well for him. He's going down on the tier 1, trying to get this Falcon army up. You know, 4 skunks on the board is really saying it's going to be rough for my opponent to get a lot of tier 1. But yeah, as much as I was talking about Jet being a memer, like, nothing he's doing this game is really memery or jank or off-meta or anything. He's got a solid comp. He's going really heavy skunk, which I think is an interesting build, right? Like, this build, you know, the quick 4 skunk push, I think is kind of an interesting, unique thing that we see Jet doing here. But I don't know if it's going to hold out. Like, I wouldn't hate to see Master Stealth get a pair of his own skunks. He's got to be careful about going too big on these Falcons. I'm getting into the habit of saying going hard on things, and I'm trying to not do it because obvious reasons. But it's not good. It's like this habit I'm forming in the past couple days, my past few casts, and I'm like, no, don't say that. Oh man. All right, where's the Fox? Fox on the way here for Jet. No snakes yet. Getting into some moles. A little bit of lull. We will fast forward. We got a lot to get through here today. Have I seen Riot's card game? Yeah, I signed up for the beta of it. I haven't watched a whole lot on it. Some of my favorite Magic the Gathering streamers have played it a little bit, like Noxious or Amazonian. It looks cool. I'd be interested to try it. I don't know how much of a microtransaction heavy game it is. You know, is it a gacha game or is it more of like a traditional card game? If it's a gacha game, I probably won't mess with it, but I doubt Riot would make a gacha game. You know, if it's more like a traditional card game where you open packs and stuff, I'd give it a shot. I generally like League and like Riot products. I played a lot of League back in the day. My wife's still pretty into it. Every now and then I played, you know, play with my friends. I won a League of Legends tournament at the University of Florida, playing mid. I got my first pentakill ever, and it was being casted in an auditorium with like hundreds of people, and it was on like a 20-minute delay, and then I got to watch my pentakill live on the big screen, and I got like a round of applause. It was awesome. One of my favorite gaming moments as a competitor. All right, Jet Erickson moving in. He's got the Fox. And Master Stealth doesn't really have a whole lot to deal with this Fox. He needs to win a big engagement here and just kind of muscle through. A lot of times when you don't have the straight hard counter anti-Fox units, the way that you go about it is like, I don't care that you have a Fox. I'm just going to push through regardless with so many units. And yeah, you're killing things, but not fast enough. However, that's not the case here. Jet did well in that engagement. And the Fox is still alive. He's got enough of his core army still alive. He does have the balloons, which are nice. It's going to prevent this Fox from bullying him too hard, getting in and killing the pigs and such. What is a gacha game? It's spelled like G-A-C-H-A. A lot of mobile freemium games are gacha games. I could name some examples like... I guess Clash of Clans, is it? No, not really. Well, hang on. Hold that thought. I wouldn't consider Clash of Clans a gacha game. Like any of those games where you like, you know, you pay gems or something like that to get your chance at getting like the right character, but you don't get to choose what character it is, you know? Hey, there's a million of them. Alright. Another big attack. This is looking good for Jet. You know, I'm impressed with Massive Stealth. I think he did very well this game, but now the Fox is out. Jet's got the micro needed to pilot this Fox correctly. And I don't see a path to victory here for Massive Stealth. Maybe he can do one more big push, but Jet is continuing to power up. He's got a third base on the way. He's got access to a fourth base, yeah. Massive Stealth gonna tap out. Bam. Alright, so if Jet gets one more win, then he has also eliminated Massive Stealth, just like Dizon did. And then would have a portion of the loot of the room and bragging rights. Alright. Let's get into it. Alright, spawning on the right, we've got the Guardian, Massive Stealth. His opponent in the bottom left, the Raider, Jet Erickson. Jet Erickson keeping the same comp. And again, Massive Stealth kind of keeping that same core of 4 units and swippy swapping with those other 2 available slots. This time around, he's going to try the Toad and Turret. I think Turret is great against units like Skunks and Foxes. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'm a little bit surprised Massive Stealth didn't pick up any of the harder counter for the Fox type units. You know, things like snakes or mines, lizards, wolf, even an owl. So we'll see. You know, again, maybe he's thinking Jet is not going to go Fox 2 games in a row. But most certainly he is. Yeah, that was good for Massive. I'm actually really impressed with Massive Stealth's play. I kind of am a bit meaner on his play than I am most people. That's just because, you know, just for fun. Me and Massive Stealth kind of bully each other. It's our relationship. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. This game starting to build up. Both players going for a quick expo here, so we might be... Oh, there it is! Massive Stealth, what are you doing? He's trying to pull a fast one on Jetty Boy. I don't know if Falcon's the right unit to do this with, though, because Jet is going to follow up Expand. So if you're trying to kind of bait him into taking a bunch of farms, you probably just want to build a bunch of Tier 1. That way you can really come in and take advantage of that window, you know? Like, by the time you got Falcons, Jet's probably going to have some things. Falcons take quite a while to make. Stakes on the way here for Jet. And this is looking good for Jet. Again, I think if Massive Stealth was going to try to do that, you throw down like 2 or 3 Tier 1 Warrens and you just go right there, you know. But Massive Stealth does kind of change his mind about switching up his strategy. Goes back into his Gristmill, but now he's a bit behind on his opponent since Jet started that Gristmill beforehand. And Jet's even just going to macro up really hard. And Jet's probably really excited to see that turret go down. He knows that means Massive Stealth is going to be passive. And he can probably, if I was Jet, I'd just slam down those other 3 farms. Oh, all right. Massive Stealth pushing in. Yeah, Rabin, I think you got a good point, about the state of the card games at the moment. The Hearthstone thing was rough for Blizzard indeed. I don't know if the apology made up for it or not. But I personally, I played a good bit of Hearthstone in different times. I kind of quit playing it when Magic Arena came out, to be honest. Like, I never got into Magic Online because it just has such a big barrier of entry. But I personally just like Magic better than Hearthstone, so now that Magic Arena's out, that's kind of my go-to card game. But I've played several of the card games. I played Faria a little bit. Best Sakuya got me into that. I played Gwent some. I played Gwent more in like the closed beta. Lately, it's just been Magic Arena. I'm interested in the League one. I'll check it out, but I'm not. I think I'm personally kind of invested in Magic. I grew up playing Magic my whole life. I think I started playing Magic when I was like 5 or 6 years old, back in the mid '90s. So it's fun. I heard rumors that Riot was making like a fighting game. Maybe the card game was what they were actually making. But there was rumors a while. I don't remember all the details, but I feel like they like bought some fighting game company or like some dev teams, and that's where they were going. But maybe they ditched that project and they went for the card game aspect as well. I kind of thought about it the other day. I'll hold that thought as things to talk about in this game are happening. Massive Stealth pushing in. And I don't know if this is going to work. There's a lot of snakes here from Jet. And now the Fox is on the board as well. And let's see. It looks like Jet's in a fantastic spot. These turrets are doing a lot of work, getting some good value, but they'll eventually be chewed through. And Jet is continuing to push the issue. Yeah, I think that attack from Massive Stealth was a bit of a mistake, and he just doesn't have an answer for this Fox regardless. He's attacking through water onto a high ground, into a bunch of snakes. It's kind of rough, and it looks like Jet is going to pull off the 2-0 here, which is what we were expecting. But yeah, one thing I was thinking about the other night, not to go off on too much of a tangent, is it's really interesting when you look at competitive games, like how the markets expand and contract. Like, StarCraft essentially killed the RTS genre in a good way, right? Like, if you think about the 90s, it was all about RTS games. There were so many different variety of them coming out. That's why we really enjoy Tooth and Tail, because Tooth and Tail is one of the only RTS games that's come out in years that's great. And it's competitive, and it's really fun. It takes some of the things we really like about StarCraft and simplifies them, but kind of keeps the heart of RTS together, as far as overall strategies and concepts like micro and macro and build orders and tech and those sorts of things. But it's a little more approachable if you're a casual gamer. You don't have time to keep your mechanics up and go 300 actions per minute and all that. I think that's why Tooth and Tail is so much fun. But a little bit of a tangent, because I was thinking about this the other day and you're kind of talking about it in chat a little. It's interesting how these markets kind of come and go until like 1 or 2 games kind of kill it, right? Oh geez, network error. Wait, I'm still live, right? Okay, yeah, sorry about that. So think about StarCraft, right? Like in the 90s, all these different RTS games were coming out. Eventually StarCraft comes out, Brood War, and all the developers basically say there's no point to making an RTS game now because StarCraft dominated it, right? And that's why RTS kind of stopped as a genre, was because why am I going, as a developer, why would I try to compete with StarCraft? There's no way. Like in the late, now not so much, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, that was the case. And then we kind of saw the same thing happen with MOBAs. There used to be so many MOBAs coming up in like the mid to late 2000s. League of Legends, obviously, Smite, Heroes of New Earth, Dota, of course, Heroes of the Storm. I'm sure there's a few more. Bloodline Champions was another. And eventually, League of Legends and Dota 2 kind of locked that in. So, I mean, there's no new developers right now working on a MOBA, unless you're like some kind of indie developer, and maybe you're doing what Tooth and Tail did to RTS, to MOBA or something like that. But like AAA or with millions, billions of dollars behind it, no way. Why would you? Why would you try to compete with League? I mean, Riot Games that had 250,000 viewers earlier, on Twitch. You're not going to do it. There's no reason to. So, in a way, like League of Legends and Dota kind of killed the MOBA market. Like, no one's going to develop MOBA games anymore because they've just dominated it in a similar way that StarCraft dominated the RTS genre. And then next after the MOBAs was the like battle arena kind of thing. And that's still kind of happening. People are still making battle arena games, but I think eventually, something like Fortnite is just gonna, and I think we're kind of at that spot now where it's like, I don't want to compete with Fortnite or PUBG or Apex Legend. We got to think of something else because those games, got that genre locked on. And I think the reason companies like Riot are looking into card games is because card games have kind of like always been there, especially on paper, but the digital card game market, maybe like game business speculators are thinking like that's not locked in yet. Of course, you've got Magic Arena, but that's still kind of new. You've got Hearthstone, which of course, that the big political debacle, and then like Rabin said earlier, everything's not for everybody. But me personally, I felt a bit the same way with Hearthstone. I got really into it. I got Legend a couple times. But there's a lot of RNG in that game. A lot of the things that are simplified, I'm not the biggest fan of. But the card game style is something that you can really tweak and do so many different ways. But anyways, just food for thought. Like, I think that's interesting how you kind of see like different genres of games kind of come and go, and at some point, if you're a development team, it's like, why would I sink my money into making a MOBA in 2019, or something like that. Yeah, but like StarCraft was a good iteration on Command and Conquer. Like StarCraft did so many things right. Like the Fog of War was just such a big. I actually think it was Warcraft that invented the Fog of War. But like it's so silly. Like you go back and play Tiberian Sun or something, and you're like, wait a minute, like I just scout and like now I can see everything forever. I did go back. Not obviously, I'm a huge RTS nerd. I went back and played the original Command and Conquer, like OG. It's actually not that hard to get. You don't have to like emulate Windows 95 or anything like that. You can just there's some project like they made it freeware, so it's not too bad on playing it on like a modern computer. But it was really fun. I had a good time. The soundtrack was so good. It was like just the epitome of like 90s metal and industrial and stuff. And the cutscenes, like the live action cutscenes, oh man, they're like so bad and so cheesy in such a good way. But anyways, enough of a tangent. You guys aren't here to hear me rant about state of game development. So Jet 2-0ing Massive Stealth. I don't think anyone's really surprised there. I think one thing, final thought on that is one spot that is coming back really hard. Well, two really is like tabletop stuff, like board games. There's been a lot of really, really good board games. Like I love Red Dragon Inn. That is such a fun drinking game with your buddies. Boss Monster's a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of really cool indie board games that are being made. And then just like Dungeons and Dragons, like tabletop RPGs and stuff have made this huge resurgence in the past couple years. It's insane. Like Dungeons and Dragons has millions of players. Millions. All right, that's it. Let's get back to business here. We've got more Massive Stealth games here. I believe this is the final one, and then I'll give a summary of what's happened today thus far. So yeah, let's hop into this guy versus Massive Stealth. Let me update the scoreboard here. Alright, let's do this. Spawning on the left, we've got Massive Stealth. And his opponent to the right, this guy, getting me excited because he's got that fox in the deck. Of course, this guy, very well known for his very tight, precise, well-executed skunk timing attacks. He's got that build order very nicely mapped out. He knows exactly when to come in and knows when to get out. With that like squirrel, pigeon, mole, skunk. So that's kind of like his 4-unit core that I'd be really surprised to see this guy running a deck without it. Grabbing the Falcon Fox to round that out, I think, is very good. Overall, I think this guy's deck is phenomenal because that squirrel, pigeon, mole, skunk core gives you such a powerful early to mid game, right? And then into the mid to late game, you've got the Fox to start running around and bopping on nerds with. And then finally in the late game, you can scale up with the Falcon. I actually love this guy's deck. I might steal that and play it on the ladder a little bit. I'm a big Fox player, but I typically like to pair it up with like ferrets and turrets and do this like siege style. But I might take this guy's deck here and throw that in the mix of the things I play. Over in Massive Stealth side, though, we see that same kind of core that he's been using constantly. This time with Balloon and Toad as the extra 2 slots on the deck there. Good to see everybody in the chat, by the way. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I'm trying to not interact so much with chat like during the casts. I think it makes for better like casted content, me personally. Alright, so nothing super... Oh, wait! What am I talking about? I didn't even notice this. These moles from this guy. Massive Stealth didn't even notice it either. And loses a couple warrens to it. Sneaky, sneaky stuff. Doesn't look like he'll be able to... Yeah, he's not even going to try to sell the warren. He's just going to distract Massive Stealth with that warren and come in and get another warren here. Oh, man, that was big brain 200 IQ plays by this guy. That was very good. There's a reason this guy is one of the top players. I believe he's top on the KML. He finally got a big tournament win under his belt, too. What was that? It wasn't 12 duels. What Tooth and Tail nerds can help me out here? I know this guy won an event pretty recently. Was it the Random Team Tournament? I think it was Premium Bow's Random Deck Random Team Tournament. I could be wrong. But it like wasn't too long ago that he got his first win. You won the Random Team. Bam! I know my Tooth and Tail competitive lore, man. I'm on top of it. Yeah, we had Jacoby win something big recently too. That was Tosh's tournament, right? Old versus new. Yeah, the old versus new tournament. Yep. Yeah, that was his first tournament win. And I think James got his first tournament win on the 12 duels. So lots of new guys coming up and taking some wins. And even some of the good old players have been involved in these events, like Chip and guys like that. Big engagement coming down here. Some good connections with the Toads, but not going to be enough. Actually knocking out one of this guy's skunks. Easier said than done, but this guy's still got one remaining. And is going to capitalize on that damage he already dealt earlier, on top of Massive Stealth being greedy and going up to 2 bases. As weird as it sounds to say this, I actually don't think this second base for Massive Stealth was a mistake. He had to do something because he got so far behind from those moles and that follow-up attack on this guy. Like, this guy killed so many warrens there and traded effectively. So I didn't mind the risk for Massive Stealth to try to take out a second base and maybe try to get back up in the game that way. But I feel like he messed up when he attacked out because he really showed weakness. Like he should have just kind of tried to turtle for a little bit and made this guy force an attack where he had defender's advantage. Okay. So this guy taking life off Massive Stealth. Let's see if he can get the other one and join Jet and Dizon as players who defeated Massive Stealth and will be splitting the prize of the Room 1D. Okay, in the bottom left, we got this guy. Now, this is some memery here. And his opponent to the right, Massive Stealth. This guy's build reminds me a little bit of that old Pile style. Where Pile would take, like, lizards and all the defense. And just dunk on kids all over the place. This is a little different from this guy. He can't quite be seen without his skunks, you know. A little bit too much of a this guy trademark to drop that out. But he's playing a little bit cheeky, to be honest. He's a little bit of a showboat here, I feel like. But I can't complain. He's given us a good performance here. However, this does give Massive Stealth a chance. You know, Massive Stealth has actually been playing very good. Most of the time, we kind of kid around on him, and we see him playing poorly. But these matches that we've watched today, I feel like Massive Stealth is playing really well. So when you're trying to play around on a guy with this style composition, you know, maybe it gives Massive Stealth an opportunity to come in with just a big solid core unit push and run you over before you can really get this defense style up and running. And this map, you know, actually might work out for this guy if he can claim enough of it. You imagine this guy gets like all this area down here, right? And then starts putting up a little bit of barbed wire, a couple balloons, you know, kind of on this battle line. Could really cave in Massive Stealth. Massive Stealth gonna come in and say hi with a few squirrels. Actually, yeah, this guy's units shot first. I wasn't sure if this guy was gonna be in position to start microing, but he was. Microwing and small number of squirrels really matters. I kind of, like, I feel like when you get up to like 12 or 15 squirrels engaging each other, you don't want to target fire because you'll start overkilling units. I mean, obviously you want to target fire like the tier 2 and stuff, but I'd be interested to see, you know, 15 squirrels going into 15 squirrels. One player targets, the other one doesn't. I feel like the guy not targeting would win. Because you're wasting so much, you're overkilling, right? Like if all 15 of your squirrels are targeting one of your opponents, you've done way more damage to kill that thing than you need to. This guy having a little bit of fun this match, but he is half a base ahead. He's got a lot of turrets down, but I don't mind, you know, generally at high level play, we consider throwing down a lot of defense bad because it's not doing anything for you, and it could be army, could be farms. However, I like these kinds of heavy defense plays as long as this guy does something like just YOLO straight up on his farms. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to make it worth it, and the way he's trying to make it worth it is with that owl. He's basically just trying to tell Massive Stealth, like, yeah, don't attack me for a little while. And let's see if Massive Stealth takes that bait. Like, he can find angles, you know, to come in here only fighting like one turret, or hell, even fighting none at all if he came like this way, right? But that's super all in. But yeah, this guy is being greedy. You know, if you're going to build a bunch of defense, you need to be greedy behind it. So he's got a fully saturated second base. He's got an owl. And the problem for Massive Stealth here is that even if he wants to play this guy's game, this guy's way ahead of him. He's already got that second base basically done. He's got a big high-value unit on the way. Massive Stealth not running any tier 3 at all today. No, one match he did have the boar, but he kind of fumbled that one because he moved out before his boar was ready. So this guy, man, making really good use of these turrets here. I love this heavy squirrel, heavy turret style into a bunch of greed, into a bunch of tier 3. I think that's a really cool way to build. Even throwing down that balloon. Yeah, this is definitely the spot to do it. You know, the problem with this heavy defense style is you might not have the map for it in every single case, but this was a good map for this guy. He got the double high ground here. And tries he might, Mass Self cannot break through this. I think if he made like a silly number of toads, would probably be the way to do this. Like maybe if Mass Self had a very heavy squirrel toad composition with just the skunks, I think he could have done it, but building the barbed wire, building into the falcons, he's got a lot of like mixed messages in his build here. That squirrel in the danger zone. But now he knows that there's owls, and this guy, dude, I love this for this guy. Oh man. I think he played this just for me because he was tired of me talking about his skunk pushes all the time. Alright. Still gonna take the skunks, you know, part of his brand, but he hasn't built any. And he's just gonna try to win with a crazy amount of owls. Now, honestly, I feel like maybe the falcons would have been better than the skunks here because this deck is weak to falcon. Basically, his answer to falcon is either the squirrel or the static defense. But, you know, you gotta be careful. Mass Self's commanders goes down. It's a good opportunity for this guy to win the micro war here. Needs to keep these owls alive. That's all he's got to do. Basically, he's trying to do two things. Keep the owls alive, and I think a tier 3 Warren went down. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. But he's trying to keep the owls alive and kill the falcons of his opponent. If he can do those two things, he's in great shape. Bleh, bleh. 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 Gonna try to spin these mice, hitting the juicy underbelly of Mass Self's expansion, but Mass Self is gonna move in and attack. However, this is so many mice here. Owl is one of these interesting units. Like, if you compare it, like, one owl versus one badger, or one owl versus one boar, etc., it's clearly the worst tier 3 unit. Like, I don't think there's any argue about that. However, it scales so crazy. You know, once you start getting up to 3, 4, 5 owls, it's very, very difficult for your opponent to do anything about it. I have seen matches where people do win against it, against like a crazy mass owl composition. But typically what they gotta do is build a lot of skunks and pigeons to deal with the mice without losing units, and falcons. Like, you get skunk, pigeon, falcon, and you can deal with mass owl. But outside of that, like, specific composition, it's very hard. And the problem, especially when you're in this kind of position, like, this is just going to keep continuing to get worse and worse for Mass Stealth, because this guy is trading out free units for units that cost food. And he didn't get here for free. You might look at something like this maybe as a new player or somebody just checking out Tooth and Tail and be like, well, this seems broken, you know? But it's really not. Like, getting up to 3 or 4 owls is a hard thing to do. It's kind of like back in Brood War, where it's like, what do I do when the Protoss builds 20 carriers? It's like, well, don't let him get to 20 carriers. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, really cool game for this guy, showing off a different style. A very macro-heavy defense style with a lot of owls there. Alright, so that completes another room. Let me give you all a quick breakdown of what happened there. Let's see. How much more do I have? We're getting close, so we can keep it going. I was thinking about taking a break, but I think we're almost through it, so we'll power through it. Alright, so basically what happened... Bam. Okay, so in 1A, so we've got Raiders versus Guardians here. 1A, the Raider child fought the Guardian Pingu, lost a life, and decided to flee. Nobody entered room 1B, so we don't know what's going on in there. In room 1C, there were some Royal Sentinels from King James. And they wanted to bribe the raiders into watching the room for them so they could go have a break. All the raiders but Haru agreed to it. They decided to do a free-for-all to determine who would get the bribe money, or bribe prize, I should say, but have to stay in the room next turn. Lego Man won that free-for-all and is going to stay in 1C next turn, but he gets some kind of prize from the Sentinels. In room 1D, most of the raiders decided to enter the pyramid there, where they faced off against Massive Stealth, who put on a very good show. He ended up taking 1 life off Dizon, but Dizon killed him. Eel lost a life and ran away. Heartseed lost 2 lives and ran away. And Jets 2-0'd Masta, and this guy 2-0'd Masta. We're not really surprised by that. And Z decided not to fight Massive Stealth. Did not engage the Guardian. So I believe that is the conclusion of 1D. Next we're going into room 1E. And let's find out what happens in there. We have 3 raiders here. Aralu. Who else is that? Kalaru, maybe? And Rush. Yep. Aralu, Kalaru, and Rush. All entered room 1E. There's no Guardians in room 1E, but there was gold. Let's see what the players decide to do about that. I'm sorry. I think I was talking about 1F there. We don't know what happened in 1E yet, apparently. Maybe we're still waiting for those raiders to take their turn. No one fought amongst themselves. No one lost lives. Undisclosed. Okay, so 1E is a bit of a mystery. 3 raiders are in there. We don't know what happened. There's no Guardian. Maybe there's treasure, maybe there isn't, but we don't know. And then in 1F, there are no Guardians, but there is gold in 1F. So we're on the final room here. The Mystery Man wants to keep all the gold for himself, and Ziggy, aka Leon, attacks him. So I think these are the final matches of today. We are going to go into Chimmy versus Ziggy. And yeah, that's it. Let's get into it. Hang on. I guess there's no raider here, but I can still keep track of lives. All right, game 1. Let's do that. There we go. Okay, spawning on the left, we've got Chimmy, which I suppose is our mystery player. And in the bottom, we've got Ziggy. Alright. We got turrets on both sides. We got some arty cannons. We got a lot of decent variety here. You know, we got some ferrets in here, some cams, squirrel toad. A little bit of different deck compositions than what we've seen thus far. So let's see what happens. I like the spawn here for Chimmy. Got a lot of bases right in their backyard here. Got that castle going on of gristmills. Meanwhile, not so bad for Ziggy either. You know, he does have this natural base. Third base seems rough, but can take the cabin over the side. Maybe if I'm Ziggy, I'm thinking about a 1-2 base push. Something like that. But Chimmy going for a 6-farm double here. Ziggy scouting it very quickly. Already went for a 7-farm Warren themselves. Not sure if that was before or after seeing the aggressive opening from Chimmy. But Chimmy's going in, and I think he's going to try to take advantage of this high ground here. Very smart. Should win that engagement. His squirrel hit first. Needs to be careful with the focus fire here. Nice defense by Ziggy thus far. Good job pulling his units back, being patient. Yeah, excellent defense from Ziggy. Nice try on the attack. I always like to see that kind of thing. A lot of times you can catch your opponent off guard. Typically with the 5-farm or 6-farm doubles. It's a good cheese, right? But if your opponent scouts it, then it's very easy at higher level play to make the right adjustments and pull out ahead. The kind of what you're going for with that 5-farm double is hoping you blindside your opponent, or maybe they scout it too late or something. Like I think there's a lot of variance on how you can execute that rush. I personally like the whole, show them 8 farms and then like cancel 2 or 3 of them, throw down some warrants, and try to get them that way. All right, we see a chameleon coming down from Ziggy, but Chimmy, kind of interesting, starts off with a 5-farm double, but then follows it up with a turret into a quick second base. Ziggy wants to get aggressive here. Ooh, trying to get around this turret, but he's very all in this position. It's going to be hard to retreat from here. And Chimmy is just really going all in on these turrets. Again, kind of frowned upon, but I personally don't hate it as long as the turrets make themselves useful, which they certainly are here. Like, Ziggy is just going to lose all these units unless he can path back home this way, which looks like he'll be able to. Yeah, he had himself trapped for a minute there. But if I'm Chimmy, if I'm going to commit to all these turrets, you really got to go hard on that second base. I did it again, man. I got to stop. I got to stop doing that. All right, but you got to really commit to the second base to make it worth taking all these turrets. Or I wouldn't even hate to see Chimmy like sell off 2 of those turrets, maybe just keep this front one. I think those turrets did a good job of keeping Ziggy back. And Ziggy's going to try to get into his own second base economy. But he's behind. I think Chimmy's in a phenomenal spot, Chimmy took that engagement earlier with advantage. Got his second base up and running quicker. Did a decent attack here. The Chameleons did a great job on the front line. Did trade them both out, though. Managed to kill that turret, but Chimmy defends pretty well. This is looking good for Chimmy. Losing both Chameleons like that, I think you really need to get more damage done. Yeah, look at that army graph. Chimichanga here. Getting after it, really utilizing these turrets very effectively. Ziggy does have Toads, which I believe still structure crit, but turrets fell out of favor a little bit because there's just so many units now that can really deal with them well. Moles, being like a core unit, they just bop down structures so quickly. Ferrets, of course, have always been a big deal for turrets. With like snakes can poison them. There's a lot of things that can happen to those poor turrets, but Ziggy really doesn't have a lot of those type of ways to deal with turrets in his deck. So Chimmy's getting some good value out of him here. Going up to a big third base too. And I'm curious where this is going for Chimmy. He doesn't have that tier 3. He does have the Falcons, which stack. And, Ferrets actually stack surprisingly well, too. Once you get out, like, 4 or 6 Ferrets, I mean, it's actually pretty nuts. All right, third base is coming down for Ziggy as well. I don't know, man. This is looking good for Chimmy. Taking the better engagements all game long. Getting the quicker economy here. Even an artillery coming down. That is rough stuff. Buff. And having the ferrets. Oh, that's got to break Ziggy's heart a little bit. Realizing they can't even play the defense turtley game with Chimmy here. And once this artillery cannon comes up, it's going to defend this ferret so nicely. Yeah, the 4 ferrets I was talking about earlier. This can really start getting dirty. Yeah, Chimmy's playing great. I've never heard of Chimmy. I think it's a pseudonym for another player. I don't know about that retreat, to be honest. I think Chimmy probably had that. Yeah, but I really like this Ferret Falcon turret style. Working out very nicely for Chimmy. That third base going down. But lots of Falcons here for Ziggy as well. But Chimmy's just got so much more. It's really hard for me to hype this one up. Like, I feel like Chimmy can just come in whenever they see fit. Even just generating so much money, they're having a hard time spending it. Or maybe just banking that money to just straight up go to 8 farms on this next base here. Yes, this is such a brutal style to play against. Alright, Chimmy pushing forward. And yeah, Ziggy's gonna tap out. And so they're fighting over gold in 1F. And let's see if the fight continues. Ziggy losing a life there. It is. So they are going to continue going here. Chimmy in the top and Ziggy in the bottom, both Raiders, both in the last room of today's episode. Both trying to claim the treasures in the room, not wanting to share. They're battling it to the death instead. And it's up to the Raiders here. Like, they don't have to continue this. You know, I'm sure, like, let's say Ziggy loses another life here. They can back off, or they could just fight to the death. It's up to them. Lots of, oh wow, Chimmy. 5 tier 1 and Skunk. Who is Chimmy? They're definitely someone good. Alright, 5 farm double. They're the bag of builds player. I think they're that type of player I was talking about earlier who is very flexible, has a lot of different ways to come in against their opponent. This is something completely different than what we saw last game. And it's funny because Ziggy kind of looks like he altered the deck a little bit to try to fight what Chimmy had in store last time. You know, lots of turrets, ferrets. You know, now Ziggy dropped his own turrets to not die to ferrets. And, did he actually get that farm there? Chimmy is the one who doesn't want to share. Darn, I wasn't looking close enough, but I think he did get that farm because it's being rebuilt. Coming in again! That farm gets sold off, but the lizard's still rampaging around. Gonna get a couple trades and back off. Weaken up, that's just a scroll there. Alright, Chimmy moving in again. I don't think this is gonna work anymore, though. There's enough squirrels, and Chimmy knows it. Backs out. And just straight lizard so far. Now throwing down the squirrels. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit through this one, guys. Lots and lots of tier 1 from both sides. Chimmy with the better start here. Looks like they just want to end this with a big, powerful push with a lot of different unit types. As I say that, though, they take that second base, so I could be wrong. Yeah, no, okay, Chameleon's going down for Ziggy. But still no skunks or anything like that for Chimmy. Ziggy going real hard, real big on these tier 2. Ferrets and cams. Not sure if I agree with the ferrets against lizards here, but it could work out. Actually, no, I think he'd be fine as long as he keeps the army in the position like here or something, you know, moves forward with the ferrets, but the ferrets can retreat back to the squirrel toad to protect them. Sneaky, sneaky, trying to run around with these lizards. I love this, just the 6 lizards too. Ooh, just gonna leave them there. Oh, this is a pretty strong looking army. Both players with toads though. It might come down to these toad engagements then. Chimmy not gonna be happy to be on the receiving end of the ferret fire this time around. The big engagement happens, toad explosions just hit everything. And Chimmy gonna come out on top of this. And that's a lot of squirrels left over, even gonna get the retreating ferret. This is bad news bears for Ziggy, losing 4 tier 2 in that fight. Chimmy pressing forward. Gonna try to deny this second base. Being careful not to overextend. Some good micro here, just waiting to get the right hits. There it is. That ferret goes down. That's probably it. Ziggy looking like they're gonna tap out. Indeed they do. And that is win number 2 for Chimmy. You like that rhyme? I was proud of that rhyme. Alright, let's see if they keep rolling. Nope, that is it. So, either Ziggy died or tapped out right there. Let me ask gentlemen. I feel like Ziggy probably, after the 2 losses, conceded the room treasure to Chimmy. Let me see if that's correct. Let me see if that's correct. Yeah, okay. Alright, so... Oh, wow, he just exited the pyramid after that. Alright. So, in summary, guys, that was episode 1 of the 21 Rooms adventure. Let me give you another brief recap. If you're still sticking around, I appreciate it, guys. I do want to do more Feast replay casting, so don't be shy. Send me those replays at ToothAndTailTV at gmail.com. All levels of play are welcome. I like to do that every now and then. Just a stream for the fun of it. Okay, so in summary, what we had happen today is the child entered room 1A, lost 0-1 to Pingu, or Pedro rather, and then fled the battle. 1B, nobody entered. 1C, there was a group of Royal Sentinels that wanted to take a break and asked the Raiders to guard the room for them. Haru wanted no part of it. The other 3 Raiders, Lego Man, Kazaris, and Rabin Lead, all engaged in a free-for-all to determine who would win the entire bribe and have to stay in the room. Next turn, it turned out to be Lego Man, costing Rabin Lead and Kaiserus 1 life each. Moving into room 1D, several Raiders enter here and had to take on the Guardian Master Stealth, who did a good showing. Actually wound up with 4 wins there. Dizon won 2-1. Eel lost 0-1 and gave up. Heartseed lost 0-2 and gave up. And Jet and this guy both 2-0'd him. And then Z decided not to fight Massive Stealth. In room 1E, we don't really know what happened yet. There's no Guardian in there. The players didn't fight each other. No one lost lives. Maybe there was treasure, maybe there wasn't. We're not so sure. In room 1F, there was some treasure in there. And Chimmy, aka the mystery player, wanted it all to himself, fought Ziggy for it. Ziggy lost 2 matches and then fled out of the pyramid. And we'll have to find out more information on the next episode of the Gazettes. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. These episodes are going to kind of be back and forth between this channel and Witty Pun 7, aka Big Pippintosh. So keep your eye on the Discord for future episodes. And that's it, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed watching this live or via the VOD. We'll keep you posted on the next episode when it's going to come out. And like I said, keep sending me replays. I'll keep casting them. And that's it. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend. And take care. I wonder if there's anyone to raid. I don't think so. I don't think there's any real raid candidates up at the moment. No biggie. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.